right. Here we go. Welcome in on this Tuesday. We are off and running, or should I say racing. What's up? Boogity, 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 boys. Let's go. Bowling? Isn't that what the guy says at the NASCAR races? Boogity, 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 boys. Let's go racing. Well, you know what we have today on Tuesday, December the 8th? We have bowl projections. Yes. And all these teams with 2 wins and 3 and a few with 4 are all over the bowl projection map. So that's how today starts. Boogity, 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 boys. Let's go bowling. Say that 5 times fast, really fast, and see how that works for you. All right, welcome in. I'm Matt with you to begin the show here in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau. Local agents, hometown heroes. Competitive rates, fast service, friendly service. You get all of that at Farm Bureau. But like I say, the reason we call them our hometown heroes is like you need somebody at an odd time, 11 o'clock on a Saturday night. You had that fender bender or something, you pick out your phone there, tick, 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 send, and your Farm Bureau insurance agent's right down the road. He lives about 2 blocks away. That's the way it works. You don't have to wait until quote-unquote business hours on Monday and then call some 800 number and talk to somebody 3 states over. With Farm Bureau Insurance, it's one-on-one, face-to-face, somebody you know right there in town. That's the way it ought to be. Kind of like me and you, we get to know each other face-to-face. Now, you see me, I may not see you, but we still communicate. Lots of different ways to do it on the show. So we're live. If you're tuning in today on the radio, we're live. It may be the first local live show you've heard today. I don't know, but we're live. Okay, so the text line, 885-ESPN. The country pleasing text line, 885-ESPN, or 885-3776. Walk up in there and say, country pleasing, please. Look for that red hog. You'll be getting the right stuff. Call me on the Davini phone, 995-1059. That's a 601 number. So we'll talk. That's one that we can talk to each other. 995-1059, 601. That's the Davini Equipment phone line. And then, of course, you can tweet me at Radio Wyatt. Got it all right here. And to everybody on the live stream, hey to y'all. Feel free to comment. People tuning in on Facebook. Hello, Austin. Gail. Hey to y'all. Hey, David. We don't have JB back, David. We're going to get him back later in the week. Bill doing a really fine job helping us out and filling in. And David said Hail State, by the way. All right, so thanks y'all for tuning in. All right, so that's how we start today. I just saw it a little bit ago. Now, it's just a list. It does come from a couple of guys at ESPN. Bowl projections. These pop out here on their over at ESPN.com, and they update them, and they updated them, I think, overnight. Joe Pesci just texted us on the Country Pleasing text line. It says, hey, Matt. Hey, Joe. Hope you're doing well. How do you? Feel free to text. Yeah, they just updated these bowl projections. So, we could start at the college football playoff, work our way down. Here's what we're going to do. Let me tell you where State is projected to go. Now, the 2 guys, both these guys work for ESPN. One name I'm more familiar with than the other, Mark Schlabach, and then someone named Kyle Bonagura. Not as familiar with Kyle, familiar with and aware of Mark. Whether you're a fan of certain writers, whatever, I don't know. But, these 2 guys putting this together, they update it overnight. So here's where they have State and Ole Miss. Yeah, win total don't matter. We'll get into that. Wins totals don't matter. They have Mississippi State. Both project State go to the Birmingham Bowl. The Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. Legion Field, Birmingham, noon on ESPN2 on New Year's Day, January the 1st. Okay? That particular day, January 1st, with the bowls that are going on, you got the Birmingham Bowl at noon. This is New Year's Day, right? Yeah, Birmingham Bowl at noon. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl at noon 30. And then the VRBO, do they pronounce, We used to say VRBO, but do they pronounce it Verbo? Citrus Bowl. The Citrus Bowl at 1 o'clock. Okay, so that's January 1st. You got 3 of them on there. They are projecting State to, one of them says State's going to play SMU in the Birmingham Bowl. The other one says State's going to play Memphis in the Birmingham Bowl. Okay, so that's that projection as of today, updated overnight over at ESPN.com. It's got State in Birmingham, January 1, playing a noon game. The very next day, January 2nd at noon, they have Ole Miss playing North Carolina. Now, how about that? What do you think about that matchup? Here's my question. Do they both wear light blue? Carolina blue, powder blue. Do they? Anyway, that's the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, noon on January 2nd, noon on ESPN. They've got North Carolina and Ole Miss, and both of them picking that, both guys, Schlabach and Bonagura, say it's going to be the Tar Heels, Mac Brown and the Tar Heels versus Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. Okay, so I thought I'd go and point those out to you first, all right? What do you think about those? Yes, no, you'll watch. You know, who knows which bowls, and depending on what states they're in, will allow people there. I don't know that fan attendance is really something that's even much of a conversation in this stuff. I'll tell you this, selfishly. You might have been listening the other day when the homecoming queen was here, and it came up. I let her know in the conversation that at that time I had heard some people talking about State having to play in Tampa, in some bowl game in Tampa, that they were scheduling for, I think it was the day after Christmas, whatever bowl game that is, the 26th. Yeah, the Gasparilla Bowl. The Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, Raymond James Stadium, so it's outdoors, between Pitt and South Carolina the day after Christmas. That's what they are projecting. Okay, one says Pitt versus South Carolina. The other is projecting Boston College versus South Carolina. You know, you wonder where they get their information, and how sure it is when you have these two different guys at ESPN that both put one team in there. It makes you think that maybe they got a source within the league, because most of their SEC picks, they're picking them in the same spots. You don't see too much change there. All right, so give me your reaction to that, to those possibilities postseason. How do you feel about teams playing these postseason bowls this year? Many of them, State, for instance, not going to have a winning record. So how do you feel about that? Mike Leach commented on it yesterday, and he said that, he felt like, if at all possible, he would be happy to play in a bowl game because you get the practice time, you get the lead up, and you want to play in as many games as you can possibly play in. And I agree with that. Short of numbers or whatever, if you can, go do it. I understand if you get in a situation where you don't have, enough numbers, let's say enough offensive linemen. If you don't have enough offensive linemen, you're in big trouble. You can't go out there with 6 healthy offensive linemen and go play a game. You say, well, Matt, you only have 5. Yeah, well, there's a reason the SEC said you got to have at least 7, because you can't just depend on, you have one injury or one guy gets tossed and you don't have enough. So you got to have a little cushion there. I understand the positional stuff. But like we've seen, really outside of the line of scrimmage positions, teams figure out a way around it. Because they want to play. They do not want to miss opportunities to have games on the field. It's the best way to evaluate players. It's the best kind of repetition you can possibly get, is live reps against another team. So especially these first-year coaches and young teams, they want to play as much as possible. To heck with the numbers, if they can. Denzel in the Country Pleasing text line, 885-ESPN. He says, Mississippi State versus Memphis. Sign me up, Buttercup. No, this is what I was getting into, Denzel, and I got off track a minute ago. But you remember Annabeth was here, and I told her that I had heard that they might be interested in State for that Gasparilla Bowl, which is the day after Christmas in Tampa. which inevitably, if it's a noon kickoff in Tampa and with where I live, there's just no way to go there the day of the game. You have to go on the night of Christmas, the 25th, which that's going to stink if that's the situation we have here, right? So selfishly, the idea of New Year's Day, drive over to Birmingham from where I live, are you kidding me? The only thing that would be better is drive to Memphis. So I'm all for it, selfishly. Nobody cares what I want but me, okay? That's why I say selfishly. I get it. I'm just telling you where I stand. Yes. Birmingham, absolutely. All right. So here are the other ones that, again, updated last night. Projections. Morris says on Facebook, if they get an offer, let's go. I agree. Go play. So here you go. College football playoff. In the playoff games, they've got one has Alabama versus Clemson in the Sugar Bowl. The other has Alabama versus Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl. One in the Rose Bowl, another one of the semifinal games. One has Ohio State versus Notre Dame. The other one has Ohio State versus Clemson. So to put it in perspective, this is what they agree on. These people projecting these bowls. They agree that Alabama's in the Sugar. They agree that Ohio State's in the Rose. Then it's just a matter of which one between Notre Dame and Clemson has to go to which one. That's the only thing they differ in. The other thing they agree on, they both agree that Alabama advances to the national title game. But Kyle Bonagura picks Notre Dame to go play Alabama. Mark Schlabach picks Clemson to go play Alabama. Isn't that interesting? So they both have Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, but they both have them losing to either Clemson or Notre Dame. So pretty unanimous Alabama. They pick Alabama to be your national championship champion this year. That's the one team they are the most confident in. Okay, I don't know if you guys are interested in me kind of running down every single one of these things or not. These bowls. Again, it's just a projection. It's not like they are scheduled. What I'll do is I'll kind of skim through here. The first one that's on the bowl schedule right now, unless something were to change, is in Frisco, Texas at Toyota Stadium. The Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl on December the 19th. What day of the week is that? That's going to be a Monday, or is that a weekend? December the 19th, yeah, it's a Saturday. Okay, so Saturday, December the 19th, handy dandy iPhone right there from C Spire. My calendar, that's how I know. Drew, I'll go through the SEC games. Sure will. The first bowl game, again, the first one scheduled is December 19th, that's Saturday. Okay, they project UAB to go to the Myrtle Beach Bowl. One of them does. We'll see if that happens. That's on the 21st. Not SEC, but just of note, I think UCF has already accepted an invitation to the Boca Raton Bowl. But one of them predicts they're going to play Liberty. We were talking about whether or not Liberty gets a bowl invite. So maybe you see them down there versus UCF. That'd be an interesting game. It really would. The New Orleans Bowl, close to home for a lot of us who are tuning into this show. One has UAB versus Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns. The other has Georgia Southern versus La Tech. Okay, so let's find any other SEC teams that are predicted. All right, I mentioned December 26th, the Gasparilla Bowl there in Tampa. Both these guys project South Carolina to be in that. Okay, the day after Christmas, which is a Saturday. Okay, so circle that one. That looks like a possibility. You got Big 10, Big 12 out in Phoenix, according to them. Scrolling through. All right, here we go. Tennessee. If you go to the Music City Bowl, which is Wednesday, December 30th, one of these guys projects Wisconsin versus Tennessee in the Music City Bowl, which is a 3:30 kick on December 30th, middle of the week. The other one projects Wisconsin versus Kentucky. They both agree on Wisconsin. It's just a matter of which SEC team. They are in total agreement that on December 30th in the Cotton Bowl that night, Wednesday night, December 30th, 7:15 kick on ESPN. I guess it'll be 6:15 Central on ESPN. They both agree Iowa State versus Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl. Again, that's December 30th. Here's an interesting one also. You got a New Year's Eve, middle of the day, so December 31st, you're talking about a Thursday, December 31st. In the Armed Forces Bowl, Fort Worth, Texas, one has Washington versus Auburn. The other projects Washington versus Arkansas. Either one of those pretty interesting. That's the Armed Forces. You go to the Liberty Bowl on the 31st. That's a 4 in the afternoon or 3 o'clock Central kick on ESPN. They agree that TCU will be in the Liberty Bowl versus either Kentucky or Tennessee. So it sounds like what they're looking at is, who is it that goes to Nashville? Is it Tennessee or Kentucky? And then who goes to Memphis? Who is it, Tennessee or Kentucky? Here you go. The Texas Bowl. This is NRG Stadium where the Houston Texans play. December 31st, late kickoff, 7 p.m. Central. They both have Oklahoma State in that game, the Texas Bowl, versus either Arkansas or LSU. So they are not in agreement there on the SEC teams there. And then, as I said, the next day, New Year's Day at noon, they are both in agreement that State goes to Birmingham to either play SMU or Memphis. That same day, New Year's Day, they are in agreement that in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Georgia will play Cincinnati. They are in agreement on that. And then when you go to the Citrus Bowl, that day, New Year's Day, middle of the afternoon, they both agree that Northwestern will go to the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, but one has them facing Missouri, the other has them facing Auburn. The way things are right now, you would think Missouri would go there to the Citrus Bowl before Auburn would. Then you go January 2nd, the Gator Bowl, TaxSlayer Gator Bowl. They both have Ole Miss facing North Carolina. You go to the Outback Bowl in Tampa on January 2nd. They both have Iowa there, back in the Outback Bowl. But in this case, one has them playing LSU, the other has them playing Missouri. I bet Missouri will be in the Citrus. Again, if things kind of continue on the path they're continuing on here. Now, here's what's interesting again. They both project Alabama to go to the national title, which means they have them beating Florida. So in the Orange Bowl in Miami on January 2nd, the primetime 7 p.m. kickoff, they have a Florida versus Miami matchup in the Orange Bowl. So basically a home game for Miami, but it's a bowl game, and they would be hosting the Florida Gators, who they are projecting would lose to Alabama, therefore have 2 losses. If you're wondering, they gave us a list right now, and without changes, they gave us a list of canceled bowl games. The Pinstripe Bowl in New York is canceled. The Fenway Bowl in Boston canceled. San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. The other canceled games, the Bahamas Bowl, Hawaii Bowl, Red Box Bowl, Quick Lane Bowl, Celebration Bowl, Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, and the Las Vegas Bowl. That's the group that's been canceled right now. Some of your feedback. Let me get to this. Sven on the live stream. I agree. You say Georgia-Cincinnati really sounds interesting. And I wonder too, Sven, if we look at this, like right now, they all have Georgia in the Peach Bowl. And I know that maybe wins and losses don't matter as much this year in the pecking order. For some of these, possibly they do. Whether they beat Missouri or not, maybe it makes sense. But right now the projection is Georgia in the Peach Bowl, Missouri in like the Citrus. Would you be surprised if Missouri upsets or beats Georgia this weekend? I really don't know that I would be all that surprised if they do. I think it's at Missouri, isn't it? And I'll look it up and see. But Sven, you say your money would be on Cincinnati if they were to play Georgia. I think a lot of people would. My mother is on the live stream on Facebook. She says, I just hope you and yours get to come to, quote, your mama's bowl. Yeah, we do too. We hope we get to come see you. Drew was coming in the live stream that if they send Tennessee to the Music City Bowl, you'd almost feel bad for them, right? Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. Music City Bowl, only one of the guys projected that. That was Kyle Bonagura projected Tennessee to go to the Music City. You know, the bowls feel so much different this year, right? Because it's not as much of a reward for teams who've earned the eligibility as it is in the past. This is, as we know, they've got conference tie-ins. They're taking teams from those conferences in this abnormal season, wins or losses. I mean, look, State's sitting there at 2 wins right now, and they got 2 games left. And you could win them both, go to 4 wins. You could lose them both, sit there at 2, go 2-8 this year. And still, either way, it's a great likelihood they're going probably to Birmingham play football. I hope Birmingham. Something drivable like that. I know y'all get tired of hearing me talk about it. You're like, Matt, we don't care if you drive or not. Well, point being, selfishly, that I hope that it is Birmingham. Yes, and I agree. Unnamed texter said, if you get in the Orange Bowl, Mullen versus Diaz, Florida versus Miami, 2 head coaches, but one was the head coach at State and the other one was a defensive coordinator for him 2 different times. Diaz working for Mullen 2 different times at State. That would really be interesting. And the storylines for that one would kind of write themselves, wouldn't they? Diaz in 2000 and I guess prior to the 2010 season, Diaz was at Middle Tennessee State. That 2009 Mullen Mississippi State team went up there and played against Middle Tennessee State up there, won the game. And then he came back and hired the guy the next year, turned him into a D1 coordinator. Next thing you know, he landed the Texas job. That fell flat. Back on his feet at State for a year, then off to Miami, where he ultimately became the head coach behind Mark Richt. His story is pretty amazing. But that would be a fun matchup going in. There you go. Boogity, boogity. Let's go bowling. That's the projections, the latest anyway. We'll see when they update them again. Thanks for tuning in. We got a long way to go, so stick around in the Farm Bureau studio. Trust me on this, you will sleep better on a mattress from Nest and Wild. It's 100% American made, from top to bottom, all the way to the floor. It's a great Mississippi company. It's right here at home. I know the people. Every mattress they make is 12 inches thick, and if you order it, it'll show up in your doorstep in 5 days. So if you're like me and sometimes you procrastinate on Christmas gifts, you can wait right up until the last minute. All right, I'm not suggesting that, but you could do it. And if you use Bully20, BULLY20, you also get a free pillow top mattress cover to go with it. So it's a great deal. Use that code. Go to nestandwild.com, order your mattress, get it here in time for Christmas. Winsipedia.com. Winsipedia.com. Wins, the letter I, pedia.com. Winsipedia.com. If you're a football fan, if you keep up with games, you have a favorite team who's playing somebody new this weekend, certainly if you're a person that's in media like me, you're in radio or maybe you write, this is an incredible website that's a resource for any historical matchup. You can compare any 2 teams, just put them in there, no matter who they are in Division I football. It'll give you the entire series history. It'll give it to you visually in a graph. You can click on individual matchups. You can look at the whole list. You can even get information, historical information on just one team, but Winsipedia, it's a great historical matchup resource for college football. Check it out.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, let me tell you a little bit about C-Spire. If you head with me over to cspire.com, over to their website, this is something you can do. And I noticed this today before I went and logged in. I was going to pay my bill. and it says at the top, deals you can believe in. You click that shop deals, and it takes you over here to a couple of things that you need to know about here for the holiday season. First of all, they're doing a trade-in right now. So like I can take my old iPhone 8 Plus and trade this in for an iPhone 12. The other thing is, I wanted to show you this. First of all, I love the ad with the bull and the Santa hat, but the no bull deal, you probably heard about that on our show. No gotchas and hidden in the fine print in the bill. No most expensive plan requirements. No waiting 3 months to get your promo credit. No having to, bring a phone number with you, all that kind of stuff. I can tell you from experience, I go here, my bill's the same every month. There's not a lot of hidden stuff. My cost doesn't go up. Once I'm in. I know what it costs every month. You get all of that stuff. And I just wanted to make you aware. Just go to cspire.com. You can see all of it. Merry Christmas.
At thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you, rolling along here in hour number 1 on this Tuesday. I almost said 2 because I was thinking Tuesday, but it's hour 1 on Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. Staying connected to you around the clock because of C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. So not just while we're on the air, but also when we're not on the air, whether I'm calling somebody or texting somebody or uploading or maybe live streaming out by the fire, all of that stuff because of C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. Check them out, cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired. Sven says Miami would lose that game big time against the Gators. Y'all agree with that? Somebody brought up the Gators over here on the text line. Who was that? That was Denzel on the Country Pleasin' text. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. It is the best sausage, period. Denzel says, Matt, just a FYI for all these Gator fans that listen to your show. According to Winsipedia, the letter I, pedia.com, Florida is 0-2 versus Miami in bowl games, and they lost by 17 both times. Yeah, how about that? There's some trivia for you. You could use that for a giveaway. Nobody would ever get it. You wouldn't think you would. As they say, Denzel, who'd have thunk it? All right. And then real quick, Patrick on the Country Pleasin' text line, 885-3776, the number to text the show, 885-3776. Says, Matt, I just got back into the truck. Did you mention when they'll announce the official bowl game schedule? No, I didn't. And I don't know. I mean, it'll have to be, the official schedule on that, some of that stuff, which includes the playoffs, will have to be after the conference championship game on the 19th, right? But like some of these others, we're going to have the announcements ahead of time because on that same day, you talk about how fouled up and weird this year is. Think about this, okay? I should have known this, but Saturday, December 19th, you have some teams playing the final game of their regular season, Ole Miss versus LSU, State versus Missouri. You'll also have the SEC title game going on, Alabama versus Florida. And that same day, the 19th, you'll have a bowl game happening in Frisco, Texas. The Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl. We don't know who's in it yet. So, I mean, some of these are going to have to be announced very soon. Just like I think it was yesterday that I saw UCF had already accepted the invitation to the Boca Raton Bowl. They don't know who they're playing, but that's one team that's going to go. So I guess, Patrick, some of this stuff's going to trickle in, and then we get the full-blown schedule probably Sunday the 20th? Does that sound about right? Does to me. What do I know? I'll let you know if I find out something. More bully, country please and text. Tell me where they have SMU, please. We were talking about Birmingham. Yeah, more bully. That's what it was. You were wanting to know where they had them projected. Well, one of them had SMU projected to face Mississippi State on January 1st in the Birmingham Bowl. The Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. That's Kyle Bonagura. He projected SMU versus State in the Birmingham Bowl. Now, Schlabach had the SMU somewhere else. I just don't know. I had to scroll through here and find them. They're in here somewhere. Is this good radio? Y'all listening to me clear my throat into the microphone while I scroll through bowl projections to see where the other guy has SMU? Yeah, I don't know. I can't find it. It's in here somewhere, though. But that's one place they haven't projected. Maybe the only place they haven't projected is one guy hasn't projected against State in that bowl game. Look, COVID, we were talking bowl games. Coronavirus canceled to this point a grand total of 10, 12 bowl games, something like that. It's not a huge list. A lot of these are still happening. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got 10 bowl games right now that are canceled because of the coronavirus pandemic. Of course, a load of games throughout the year, and week to week, there always seems to be a few teams. Well, y'all, if I'm right about this, if I'm wrong, let me know. I think I'm right about this. This is the first game all year that COVID has popped up and bitten Ole Miss. Ole Miss not going to play. They cancel. They're, I guess technically postponing the game against Texas A&M this weekend, but effectively it's canceled because there's no way to make it up. Because they got a game the next week against LSU. If they play that one, there's going to be no weekend for them to play A&M. But anyway, so Ole Miss, as of this time yesterday, had a game with A&M. We previewed it. We talked about it. We talked about how Ole Miss was going to score. There were about 15, 20 different predictions for the game from y'all. I made the point that I didn't think Ole Miss's defense could slow down Texas A&M's running game. So how was that game going to look? And it was all for a waste because then overnight, boom, game gets canceled because COVID issues at Ole Miss. Some people were bringing up how it was kind of ironic. You go back to when, LSU and their originally scheduled game against Alabama, they couldn't play it, had to move it around. And that's when the quote came out from Lane Kiffin about, hey, look, we want to play. And it seems like if you don't want to play, well, then you go look at your numbers and see what your numbers are like. Just kind of taking a little shot. And now there's a little turnabout going on because now they aren't playing. Not going to make this trip out to A&M. I don't know what their deal is. I have not heard the official yet of what is the COVID situation. Is it an offensive line issue? Is it a certain position? Does Corral have it? And the other quarterbacks, therefore you don't have quarterbacks. What is it that keeps them from being able to play? One thing we learned about with Mississippi State, State was a good example of this. You can have fewer players than that threshold of 53 scholarship players and still tell the league, well, we're going to play. We only got 40-something, but we're still going to play. You can do that if you want to. But also, like State, when they were originally going to play Auburn, their offensive line got hit with COVID, and then a couple of guys get hurt in the game the week before. Well, they didn't have 7 offensive linemen to dress out for the Auburn game that particular week, mainly because of contact tracing. So they go, well, we don't have the linemen. You can't just, throw a linebacker in there, right? So that's what took them out. And then you would think the situation, something like that at Ole Miss. Most of these teams, look, I just can't imagine. If you've got enough players to go play a game at every position, even if you're a handful short of the overall 53 number, as long as we got enough to go play at every position, we'll go play the game. They all want to play, players especially. But coaches want to play also. They know, like I said earlier, the best film you can get on players, the best reps you can get for players are against live competition on the other side. They'd be playing if they could. That's what I think. So it pops up, gets them. And also what's happening now, as we speak over the last 5 minutes, is it's popping up all over social media, just everywhere you look. Ohio State, Michigan canceled this weekend. Brett McMurphy. Saturday's Michigan at Ohio State game canceled because of COVID issues at Michigan. What does that mean for Ohio State? I've heard all kinds of speculation that if, would Michigan not play the game to basically keep Ohio State from reaching a minimum number of games so they can go play in the conference title game or something like that? You had the big thing last week that I didn't see it on television, but I saw it all over social media and clicked it and watched it. The big thing that Kirk Herbstreit had to apologize for, insinuating not Michigan specifically. He sort of broadly insinuated, quote unquote, teams are bowing out of playing simply because they don't want to get embarrassed. Well, I thought it was interesting. He didn't specify Michigan, but then he apologized to Michigan. So we kind of know what that was all about. And see, Sven on the live stream says, Michigan, they don't want to get blown out by 50 points. My thing is, as competitors, you cannot consider that. If the game is on our schedule and we are supposed to play, well, Matt, you don't have the minimum 50 to 53 players you need in order to go play a game. Yeah, but if I got enough at each position, even if I'm down to 1 quarterback or I'm down to, 4 defensive linemen, go play. And it must be bad at Michigan. See, here's the other thing. The Big Ten still has a 21-day contact tracing quarantine, don't they? The Big Ten, it wasn't 14 days like everybody else. CDC or not, and I don't think they adjusted it either. They're in a mess. Is Ohio State going to have enough games? Y'all let me know what you think. Farm Bureau Studios. Stick around.
There's a game on the back that's lots of fun to do. All of the kids in the neighborhood say Tootsie Roll Pops are triple good. Triple good. You'll love Tootsie Roll Pops.
Hi, I'm Mike Wallace with a sensational shortening discovery for better baking and frying. It's Procter & Gamble's Golden Fluffo, the first all-new shortening in 40 years. It's rich. Its color is golden yellow, and what a pie it makes. Richer looking, better tasting, more appetizing. But let's hear what Mrs. Thelma Styra, Indiana State Fair baking champion, had to say about Fluffo.
I love Fluffo. It makes such a golden brown pie.
Oh, man, that's some apple pie.
Well, Mr. Wallace, that's a prettier pie than I ever baked with plain white shortening. And look how flaky it is. This yellow Fluffo is such a short shortening. Makes pie crust so rich.
Like cooking champions, get richer looking, better tasting, more appetizing results in everything you bake or fry. Get Golden Fluffo.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
You know, I've been accused of wearing a lot of hats in my career. And if you go to the Mississippi State University golf course, you can wear a lot of hats, a lot of the same hats I wear. Oh, that's nice. You know you like that. On Twitter, they are at Hail State GC, or call them 325-3028. That's the Mississippi State University golf course. We wear a lot of hats. Hail State.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding, whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me.
Wyatt Show. Talking more great sports for you, Mississippi.
Online transmission is ready, sir.
Live online at thezone1059.com and
keep your radio turned on
to ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
All right, here we go. Rolling along with you here in hour number one on this Tuesday. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau. Hope you're enjoying the new look of the live stream. Everyone, thanks for tuning in, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or Periscope or however you tune in here to the live stream. Appreciate you doing that. On that aforementioned live stream, Sven said he saw on the RJ Young show that the conference will change the rules for Ohio State. Rules it now is at 6 games minimum for the title game. Yeah. Well, and they should do that. Don't you agree? Okay, you set a rule. You had a certain minimum. What was the minimum? 8? You had a certain minimum to get to the conference championship game. Ohio State's your only shot in the whole conference at making the playoff. You're going to make it if you just send them to the conference title game. Adjust it. That's just smart. I mean, you've already made it harder on all your conference teams to get games in by having get this now, a 3-week, 21-day quarantine deal, which I think was for the contact tracing also. If they've changed that, y'all let me know, but I hadn't heard they changed it. Meanwhile, the rest of the world did 14, and in the last week and a half, the CDC came back and goes, no, well, make it 10 or 7 if you test negative. So I would think, Sven, that's just the right thing for them to do, is change that. JB, on the live stream, I'm glad you enjoy the throwback commercial there. You see that? Who that was? Mike Wallace? Fluffo. shortening for making pies. They even had the Indiana State Fair pie champion on that old black and white commercial. Yeah, and you're right. Melody said it's just lard. That's all it is. It's lard. That's all it is in a can. Lard in a can. Call it Fluffo, and now it's some magic ingredient. All right, so if you're just tuning in, Ole Miss game against A&M canceled, COVID. Today, news, Ohio State, Michigan, canceled, COVID. So that ain't happening. Now people are out here screaming for Ohio State and Texas A&M to meet up in a neutral site and play each other. We even had a facetious suggestion that Ohio State and Texas A&M ought to meet in Jackson, Mississippi at Veterans Memorial Stadium and play this weekend. It ain't happening, but you get the point. You know what? And I'm glad I just thought of this. I'm thinking of Memorial Stadium reminded me that at some point in hour 2 here, and I'm making a note, I want to go over the Jackson State coaching staff for Coach Prime, Coach Deion Sanders at Jackson State. News came out yesterday of his entire coaching staff, and I'm going to tell you what, it's pretty doggone impressive, the coaching staff he's put together for Jackson State. So we'll go over that in hour 2. It'll be fun. It'll be news. It'll be new to many of you who some information you don't know, and it'll give us an excuse to play some Sonic Boom here on the show. So that's all coming up. Right now, though, I want to take a quick look, a head-to-head matchup preview, series history of one of the games going on this weekend. We'll take a look over here at Winsipedia.com, wins the letter I, pedia.com. This is Auburn, Mississippi State. Head-to-head matchup preview. They're going to play this weekend. Makeup game from earlier in the year. COVID got them. They're going to have it this weekend. Both teams good to go. All right, so if you go to Winsipedia, put in that matchup, Auburn versus Mississippi State. This is what you have. All time, Auburn leads the series 64-27. And there has never been a stretch in this series where the teams alternated wins more than they have recently in just the last few years. It's the first time in the history of this series that it's happened where the teams kind of exchanged wins a little bit year to year. Look, I mean, you know, there was a stretch in the 40s and 50s where State dominated it. Then there was about a 20-year period in the 60s, 70s where Auburn dominated it. And then State would come in there and win 2 in a row here or 4 in a row here. We won 4 in a row in the 90s. State did. We beat them 20-0 in 97, 38-21 in 98, beat them 18-16 in 99, beat them 17-10 in 2004 in a row. Then Auburn went on a run of about 5 in a row. But here recently, you look at it, you go back to State beating Auburn in Gene Chiswick's last year, 2012, State beat them. The next year, Auburn won. Then State won 2 in a row in 2014 and 15. Then Auburn won 2 in a row in 16 and 17. Then State won in 2018. And then Auburn blew them out last year. So, you know, this recent stretch in this Auburn-Mississippi State series is the only time where it's done like this a little bit. Auburn State, Auburn State, Auburn State. You look at the historical timeline, it's big stretches of time for State and then a big stretch of dominance for Auburn. In fact, you know, again, you look at this. If I'm looking at this right, from 1964 to 1996, Auburn won all of those matchups in that time frame except 4. State beat them 4 times, but one of those had to forfeit. Auburn just dominated that stretch. But in recent years, it's been a little more back and forth. Anyway, you can look it up for yourself. See things like this. There's all kinds of historical context for the matchup. It can be any matchup. We're going to do some more on today's show. We'll take a look at Alabama versus Arkansas. We'll take a look at Florida LSU later in the show. Largest margin of victory in the Mississippi State-Auburn game for State was in 1946. State beat them 33-0. Largest margin of victory for Auburn was in 1970, a 56-0 win in 1970. As I said, a 16-game win streak for Auburn from 1964 to 1979 over State. State had a win streak over Auburn in the 40s, 7 in a row from 41 to 48. Recent history, modern era, going all the way back to the 1950s. The longest win streak for Mississippi State against Auburn is the one I spoke about in the 90s. Three of those teams that I got to be on, 97, 98, 99, and then they won again in 2000 in Starkville. Joy on Facebook says Gus has already included this game as a win for Auburn. What are you talking about, Joy? Is that something that came out of his press conference? I didn't get to hear the Gus Malzahn press conference. I didn't keep up with it. So he said something? If he said something, y'all let me know. I'd like to know what it is. Mike Leach talked about Auburn yesterday, also answered questions about his own program. We'll hear that press conference coming up today in hour 3 of the show, presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. All right, back over to the comments. On the live stream, Anthony said, last week Barry Alvarez was pushing for the minimum games to be eligible for the Big Ten Championship game to change so that Ohio State could play in it even if they didn't have 6 games. Alvarez pushing for that. I wonder if they'll do it. Honestly, it seems like the right thing for them to do. In regards to Michigan, Ohio State being canceled, Dan Wetzel on Twitter says, Michigan was out double-digit starters, and positive cases were still increasing each day per sources. The first time they haven't played this game since 1917. Wow. We got a couple of minutes left in this hour. Let's talk to Jay. Jay from New York City on the Davini Equipment phone line. What's up, Jay?
What's up, Jay? It's Jerry.
Oh, Jerry. That Jerry. Not Jay, but Jerry. Okay, what's up, Jerry?
First say, if they think that they can put you in the Gasparilla Bowl and make you drive all that way in this Christmas, they're crazy.
You're exactly right. And the homecoming queen agrees with you, Jerry.
Oh, and I got one other person here. It's George. Come here, George.
Costanza?
If they put you, yes, if they put you in the Gasparilla Bowl, they have no scruples whatsoever. No scruples. Kaput. Hey, it's me, Jerry, again. They better not put you in that and make you drive all the way on Christmas Day. It's just crazy.
It's fantastic.
It's almost like my friend in Long Island saying, you gotta come and see the baby.
Holy cow, that's great. Jerry, thanks for the call. Thanks for letting us hear from George also, okay? We really appreciate it. They're crazy. What's wrong with these people? I really appreciate that phone call. It's a good one to end the hour on. Yeah, so hour 2, what are we going to get into? Another out at LSU. We'll look at that Bama-Arkansas game. And, yeah, let's take a peek at Deion's coaching staff at Jackson State. Pretty impressive. That's all coming up. Y'all stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best, trust me. Hey, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. If you head with me over to cspire.com, over to their website, this is something you can do. And I noticed this today before I went and logged in. I was going to pay my bill. And it says at the top, deals you can believe in. You click that shop deals, and it takes you over here to a couple of things that you need to know about here for the holiday season. First of all, they're doing a trade-in right now. So like I can take my old iPhone 8 Plus and trade this in for an iPhone 12. The other thing is, I wanted to show you this. First of all, I love the ad with the bull and the Santa hat, but the no bull deal, you probably heard about that on our show. No gotchas and hidden in the fine print in the bill. No most expensive plan requirements. No waiting 3 months to get your promo credit. No having to, bring a phone number with you, all that kind of stuff. I can tell you from experience, I go here, my bill's the same every month. There's not a lot of hidden stuff. My cost doesn't go up. Once I'm in. I know what it costs every month. You get all of that stuff. And I just wanted to make you aware. Just go to cspire.com. You can see all of it. Merry Christmas.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. Farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
You hear me say Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson a lot on the radio show. Highway 51 in Madison, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson. And yeah, it's tractors, okay? Kubota tractors, they have New Holland tractors, big equipment, skid steers, ATVs, all that. But you need to know this time of year, if you're a deer hunter, if you know a deer hunter in the area, anywhere around Madison and Jackson, Davini has everything, okay? I'm not talking about just, feeders and all the stuff that goes with that, but tree stands, climbing stands, chairs, camo this, camo that, boots, accessories, everything for the hunter. Davini Equipment, Highway 51 Madison, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
I've been accused of wearing a lot of hats in my career. And if you go to the Mississippi State University golf course, you can wear a lot of hats, a lot of the same hats I wear. Oh, that's nice. You like that. On Twitter, they are at Hail State GC, or call them 325-3028. That's the Mississippi State University golf course. We wear a lot of hats. Hail State.
And it improves oral health by delivering the wow of a professional clean feel at home every single day. This year, give the gift of wow. The Oral-B IO. Oral-B, fresh like a pro.
Is the cost of finishing the basement worth the benefit of some peace and quiet?
When questions find you, Merrill Edge Self-Directed Investing can help you find answers with personalized planning tools and insights to help you get where you want to go, even if it's just downstairs. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com.
WRKS Pickett's Jackson.
Time.
It's time to get back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
Live in the studio.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
All right, here we go. Hour number 2. Off and running. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. Your home team is at Farm Bureau Insurance. Hometown heroes. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff going on Twitter. It's one of those days where, if you do like I did and you just basically get rid of Twitter, and I've basically gotten rid of it, except for occasionally I send out stuff. I just don't read a lot of stuff, except when I come in here to the studio, I have a screen that shows me a list of college football stuff that's going out there. And on days like this, you go, well, doggone, maybe I kind of wish I was keeping up with Twitter a little better. Because it's just popping up news like impossibilities faster than I can keep up with it on this Ohio State thing. So more on that. And then plus I'm going to take a look at the new coaching staff for Coach Prime at Jackson State. They announced it yesterday. Deion Sanders filling out his coaching staff. And let me tell you something. It looks great. It's impressive. So y'all get your comments, opinions, everything else in here. And we'll take a look at that here to start hour number 2. Lots of ways for you to be a part of the show. The country pleasing text line. It may be cold outside, but remember this. Country pleasing is for every season. Seasons of the year, summer, spring, winter, fall. Got them backwards. Got them out of order. Football, baseball, basketball, you name it. Country pleasing for every season. Country pleasing text line 885-3776. 601 number 885-3776. Call me on the Davini phone. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. A few texts on the country pleasing text line from hour 1 I didn't get to. Ready Teddy, he texted us. He said, the throat clearing is awful. Mike Leach-ish of you. The throat clearing is awful. Mike Leach-ish of you. Well, that's hard to say, Teddy. You got my tongue all twisted there. And how about Patrick sent me a picture. Now, this is great. He's got a team photo of he and his 5- and 6-year-old flag football team that he coaches. Hey, Matt, can my flag team get a shout out for winning the Rankin County Flag Championship this past Saturday? 5 and 6 years old. The name of his team is the Practice Squad. That is great all the way around. So, first of all, your name is great, the Practice Squad. I love it. Your photo is perfect. Great team photo right there. They're all pointing at the camera, or not pointing, but showing these big rings that they've gotten for winning the flag football championship at 6 years old. Some of the rings are big as they are. That's great. The Practice Squad won the championship. Hats off to you, Patrick, and I really appreciate the photo. That's fantastic. Bama fan on the text line says, now the Big Ten is in trouble because they started late. I think to be eligible for the college football playoff, they should play at least 10 games like the ACC and the SEC. Well, let's just use your text here real quick, Bama fan, as a jumping off point. I want to read you something here. Okay, and the context of this is, like you said, now Ohio State, Michigan not going to play. Barry Alvarez, Anthony told us on the live stream that Barry Alvarez has been advocating this week that they change their rule they put in place at the beginning of the year in the Big Ten. That would be a fewer number of minimum games for Ohio State to be able to go to the conference championship and go to the playoff. If they don't change it, they're in trouble. Here's what somebody said. They're either they have to change the rule that keeps Ohio State out of the Big Ten championship game at 5-0, or they have to find an opponent for Ohio State to play this Saturday. You haven't played any non-conference games whatsoever. You're going to play one just for them? You're going to change the rules just for them? Bama fan? Is that what we're doing? And I said earlier, it seems like the right thing to do. As a conference, they don't have anybody else that is in line to go to the college football playoff. If they just change their rule or somehow rearrange the schedule to give Ohio State a game, then they can get them to what, 6? Change the rule, get them to 6, get them in? But how does the rest of the conference feel if the whole conference, we're just going to mishmash everything we've said just to placate Ohio State? Just because they had a little run of bad luck there. How's that going to look? Man, they are in a tight spot. All kinds of stuff popping up on Twitter about who they should play, where they should play. Let's see. Somebody suggested, Ohio State. Ross Dellinger said Ohio State and Texas A&M both now off this week should play in a quasi college football playoff quarterfinal Saturday. Meet in the middle at the Liberty Bowl in Memphis. And then the Liberty Bowl Stadium actually responded to him. They're like, yeah, let's do it. We'll host it. I mean, but what are they going to do? What is the Big Ten going to do? They are between a rock and a hard place on this. You just go ahead and throw out everything you've said about yourself. Just totally bend every rule just to make sure we get what is best for us as a conference and best for Ohio State. Or we just stick to our guns here. Okay, if Ohio State doesn't get in, who does? Who? Florida with 2 losses? Texas A&M if they finish with 1 loss, which they have right now, and they're not playing Ole Miss this weekend. Wow. Very interesting. Thanks for your text. Sven on the live stream says that he heard that Ohio State's going to try to play Maryland. Jam, you were telling me you think that they changed their 21-day deal? Changed it back to 14. They should. Is that what you're saying? Rebel Rex, Country Pleasing text line, says, this morning on Bo's show, one of the problems is Mississippi hasn't adopted the new CDC guidelines to get players back on the field faster. At Ole Miss, it's more contact tracing problems, and they can't test out. They just have to wait. And Rex, they're right. You're right. That's what it is. You know, the contact tracing is a big deal. But everybody kept it at 14 because that's the way it's been all year long, you know. And I couldn't help but wonder too, Rex, I don't know this. I'm just speculating. But, you know, you go 2/3 of your season where every team and athlete is dealing with a 14-day deal. Am I right about that? You're in the contact tracing deal. My buddy over here's got COVID. I was in the same room with him, no mask, 5 feet apart, watching film. Boom, I contact trace, I'm out for 2 weeks. So everybody's been dealing with that for 2/3 of the season. 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. How are we going to just all of a sudden now change it? And anybody that now has a COVID issue, they just got better luck because we changed it midstream, or we're just going to stick to 14 throughout the whole year. It's weird. And again, you don't blame anybody. Nobody's been through it before. It seems to me that if the original 14-day deal was based on CDC guidelines, then when the guidelines change, you change your deal. But I don't know. Maybe it's not that simple. Denzel's telling me Army's already accepted a bowl invitation, and they were the first to do it. So they're going to play in the Independence Bowl. That's it. Good. Where's that one? I mean, Shreveport. When is that one? Miko says, hate to be a sour grape, Matt, but what happens if a bowl team tests positive for COVID-19? Do they have a backup team? So you mean like, yeah, all of a sudden you're leading up to a bowl game and some team can't go? That's a good question, because if you don't have a bowl game to prepare for, then you're not practicing. There's such thing as a backup team. Do they move the bowl game? You know what, Miko? If it's a game where they're not allowing fans in there, and you haven't sold tickets and stuff, they can just push it back a week, 2 weeks, whatever. Play the game later on down the road. Big old fat mess is what that is. But remember this too, Miko. Like I said, in years past, let's say you played in the Outback Bowl in Tampa. Well, the team went to Tampa for a whole week. They're down there for 7 days, living in a hotel basically. You know, going to eat and going to events, practicing at some high school down there and all that, getting free stuff. Nope, none of that. They're not doing it. They're going to practice at their own place. They're going to live in their own apartments. And they'll travel to the bowl thing, I guess, just like they would for a regular season road game. Get on the plane the night before, fly over, spend the night, play the next day, come right back home. What do we have here? Okay, CDC, unnamed texter says, is run by a bunch of Democrats. Changing the rules to fit them is nothing new. Oh, you're talking about the Big Ten. Not the CDC. Our unnamed texter says that the Big Ten is run by a bunch of Democrats, so they change the rules to fit them. It's nothing new. Jason in Flagstaff says that the blue checkmark Twitter sports reports health experts were silent on that while cussing the 3 leagues for scheduling to avoid the wave says everything. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? They delayed. They have now gotten themselves in a serious bind on this. Denzel says, if not Ohio State, it would be Notre Dame getting in if Clemson beats them or Texas A&M. If Notre Dame beats Clemson, we'd love to see Cincinnati in the Final Four. Yeah, all right, so that's it, right? That's it. It's no. Who are the 4 teams, though? If Ohio State's not one of them, who are the 4 teams? I go back here to these bowl projections that we were looking at. They updated them over at ESPN.com overnight. And the playoff deal, they all have, well, it's 2 of them, okay? 2 guys project Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. 1 against Clemson, 1 predicts Notre Dame. They both predicted Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. 1 against Notre Dame, 1 against Clemson. So who are the teams? Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and now who? If not Ohio State. Who is it? Who's the 4th one? I don't have the foggiest idea, so I'm not looking at the rankings. But could it be A&M? All he needs 1 more game, right? No, that's not right. They've got enough already. They played 8 games. They're 7-1. Beat Texas A&M, wouldn't it, Bama fan? Right? They beat Florida. Who does A&M finish with, though? I'd have to look that one up. Shoot, man, it's a mess. That we do know. Cincinnati, people saying Cincinnati. What about Liberty? No. Don't yell. Don't yell at me. I'm just saying, well, they're not undefeated anymore, so it can't be Liberty, right? Could it have been Liberty? If they were undefeated? Yeah. If Notre Dame beats Clemson, that'd give Clemson 2 blips. You're right. Doggone it, you're right. So A&M would be in, wouldn't they? Good gracious alive. You talk about a mess. All right, flipping the page, turning the page over now. Next subject, as promised. Coach Prime at Jackson State, Deion Sanders filled out his coaching staff, and it's a good one. Let me tell you, it's a good one. So that's what it sounds like when the sonic boom turns it up to 11. So just for fun, you're riding around Jackson, roll your window down, jack it all the way up, see what happens. The sonic boom. All right, so let's take a look at that coaching staff at Jackson State, shall we? released yesterday. Michael Pollock will serve as the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. Michael Pollock. He was the head coach at Lincoln County in Georgia. Pollock's 2019 team rebounded from the program's first losing season in 46 years and finished 9-3. Okay, so he's been coaching in high school. He was also at Habersham Central High School, America's Sumter High School, and at Valdosta High School. That's Michael Pollock, offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. Did a good job in high school where he was. Defensive coordinator for Deion Sanders at Jackson State, Dennis Thurman, 32-year coaching veteran. He most recently was a defensive coordinator for the Memphis Express of the upstart Alliance of American Football. Remember that one. But get this, from 2015 to 16, he was the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills and coached under Rex Ryan. 2008 to 14, Dennis Thurman was a defensive coordinator, DB coach for the New York Jets. Coach Darrelle Revis, Crow Marty, those guys. Okay, so he was kind of attached to Rex Ryan in New York and then in Buffalo. Well, for the Jets and then in Buffalo. They're both in New York. But how about that? So you get a veteran NFL defensive coordinator. He's going to be the Jackson State defensive coordinator, Dennis Thurman. Spent a lot of time in the NFL. In the 90s, from 93 to 2000, he coached for USC. He was a player at USC, so he coached at USC for 7 years prior to going to the NFL. That's big-time experience on that side of the ball. All right, here's another one. Offensive line coach at Jackson State, Mike Markison. Now, that is a name that's going to ring a bell with a lot of people, including Ole Miss fans in this state. 35 years of coaching experience at the college level. He's going to coach the offensive line at Jackson State. He was from the Houston Nutt coaching tree. He spent 20 years on Houston Nutt staff, beginning in 93 at Murray State. Hired him in Arkansas in 97. He was a part of that offensive staff where, they did really a lot of good stuff in the early 2000s at Arkansas, including had the wild hog offense with McFadden and all that bunch. He coached at Ole Miss from 2007 to 2012. He was a quarterback's coach, co-offensive coordinator during that time at Ole Miss. All right, so Mike Markison, Jackson State offensive line coach. You see all this experience that Deion Sanders has put on his coaching staff? It's big time. All right, special teams coordinator at Jackson State is going to be former NFL standout Alan Ricard. He's been coaching the last 3 years at Louisiana Monroe, ULM, Louisiana Monroe. 2015, he was at Nicholls State. In the 90s, started coaching there at ULM. Of course, played in the NFL for the Ravens and the Lions, and he was a part of that Ravens team that won the Super Bowl in 2003. So that's your special teams coach. All right, running backs coach at Jackson State, Gary Harrell. He's coming over from Alabama State. Prior to being at Alabama State, he's coached for 2 years. Where? At FAU for Lane Kiffin. So Harrell is the running backs coach at JSU. Defensive backs coach is going to be Kevin Mathis, big-time NFL player. Of course, and he's been coaching out there at Trinity Christian, the high school program that Deion Sanders has been at here recently. So there's some familiarity right there. Was a undrafted free agent, turned himself into an NFL player, and then became a coach. Linebackers coach at Jackson State, Andre Hart, previously the head coach at Trinity Christian out there in Texas. 13 years of coaching experience, played at Ranger Junior College and then played at Kansas State. Defensive line coach for Jackson State is going to be Jeff Weeks, 25-year coaching veteran, has been in the NFL, college, high school levels. Just a few years ago, he was the linebackers coach for the Buffalo Bills under Rex Ryan. And then some familiar names, too, kind of rounding out their coaching staff. The tight ends coach is going to be T.C. Taylor. We remember him. He's been on the staff there at Jackson State. Of course, played at Jackson State in the late 90s, early 2000s, was a phenomenal player, played some quarterback, played some receiver. And then Otis Ridley is going to be the recruiting coordinator for Deion Sanders at Jackson State. Otis, a former Mississippi State offensive lineman. He went over there and jumped onto the JSU staff in 2019. Of course, spent a lot of time at Co-Lin Community College, Copiah Lincoln Community College. 8 seasons there at he went to Co-Lin after 8 seasons in the high school ranks here in Mississippi. You remember here at Callaway High School, spent some time there on the staff also. So again, it is a really experienced staff, and it's a staff for Deion Sanders that has a real mix of, like professional NFL background, mostly college background, and even some high school background, and I'm totally okay with that. From an X's and O's standpoint, you get a guy who was successful molding and shaping an offense around all kinds of different players in high school, he can do it in college. And you have to do that, I think at Jackson State. Just go get the best players you can get and then figure out what they can do and coach around that instead of bringing people in and having them try to fit into a system. So Pollock is going to be the OC quarterbacks coach. Dennis Thurman, former NFL defensive coordinator, is going to coach the defense there at JSU. The offensive line coach, Mike Markison, has been all over the place in the SEC forever and ever. And he'll have ties and know coaches. He recruited here. He worked at Ole Miss for a long time. It's a heck of a coaching staff. It is. And a heck of an experienced one also. And then local people on the recruiting side that have a lot of ties and very highly thought of. And I just think it's great. I think they did a heck of a job. My hat's off to Deion Sanders. You can look at this coaching staff and tell that it's not just a publicity stunt. I really mean that. I think they're doing good stuff. All right, your thoughts, my thoughts. We'll react to all of that coming up. Just getting started here in hour 2 on this Tuesday. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Stick around. Trust me on this, you will sleep better on a mattress from Nest and Wild. It's 100% American made, from top to bottom, all the way to the floor. It's a great Mississippi company. It's right here at home. I know the people. Every mattress they make is 12 inches thick, and if you order it, it'll show up in your doorstep in 5 days. So if you're like me and sometimes you procrastinate on Christmas gifts, you can wait right up until the last minute. All right, I'm not suggesting that, but you could do it. And if you use Bully20, BULLY20, you also get a free pillow top mattress cover to go with it. So it's a great deal. Use that code. Go to nestandwild.com, order your mattress, get it here in time for Christmas. Winsipedia.com. Winsipedia.com. Wins, the letter I, pedia.com. Winsipedia.com. If you're a football fan, if you keep up with games, you have a favorite team who's playing somebody new this weekend, certainly if you're a person that's in media, like me, you're in radio or maybe you write, this is an incredible website that's a resource for any historical matchup. You can compare any two teams, just put them in there, no matter who they are in Division I football. It'll give you the entire series history. It'll give it to you visually in a graph. You can click on individual matchups. You can look at the whole list. You can even get information, historical information on just one team, but Winsipedia, it's a great historical matchup resource for college football. Check it out.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team. Hey, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. If you head with me over to cspire.com, over to their website, this is something you can do. And I noticed this today before I went and logged in. I was going to pay my bill.
and it says at the top, deals you can believe in. You click that shop deals, and it takes you over here to a couple of things that you need to know about here for the holiday season. First of all, they're doing a trade-in right now. So like I can take my old iPhone 8 Plus and trade this in for an iPhone 12. The other thing is I wanted to show you this. First of all, I love the ad with the bull and the Santa hat, but the no bull deal, you probably heard about that on our show. No gotchas and hidden in the fine print in the bill. No most expensive plan requirements. No waiting 3 months to get your promo credit. No having to, bring a phone number with you, all that kind of stuff. I can tell you from experience, I go here, my bill's the same every month. There's not a lot of hidden stuff. My cost doesn't go up. Once I'm in. I know what it costs every month. You get all of that stuff. And I just wanted to make you aware. Just go to cspire.com. You can see all of it. Merry Christmas.
The Zone.
Are you ready? Brace yourself.
Now back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
All right, back with you here, rolling along in hour number 2 of the show on this Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. Hi to everybody on the live stream. What's up with y'all? Feel free to comment. Comments, opinions, otherwise. Comment here on the Country Pleasin' text line. Let's see what we've got here. Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sauces on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Had a little maple Country Pleasin' for breakfast. Yes, sir. It's the real deal. And may have a little more before the day is up. Country Pleasin'. You can go in there and get that maple on Highway 49 there at Country Meat Packers, Highway 49 in Florence. Or maybe call them up or get online at countrypleasin.com. Don't put the G in there. It's just countrypleasin.com. Go in there and check that out. Jason in Flagstaff says, it'll be Texas A&M if Notre Dame beats Clemson. Cincinnati. What, if Clemson beats Notre Dame, it'll be Cincinnati? Is that what you were trying to say? Judy from Oxford says, so to get Ohio State in via a 6th game, all those people are going to be subjected to possible COVID exposure. Seriously? Yeah, but it's not Ohio State. No. Judy, it's Ohio State is not the one who has the COVID issue right now. It's Michigan. Michigan is the one with all the players out and having the big COVID issue that canceled their scheduled game against Ohio State this weekend. Michigan-Ohio State canceled. But it's Michigan's fault because of their issues. So now Ohio State's sitting there going, well, we're healthy. We can play. But you've got this thing that says we got to play X number of games or we can't go to the conference title game. We got to play somebody. The Big Ten, let's look at it this way, very pragmatically, point for point. The Big Ten wants and needs Ohio State in their conference championship game somehow, some way, because they're going to win it and go to the college football playoff. They're the only Big Ten team you have that can go to the college football playoff right now. They want and need them in there. Simultaneously, the Big Ten currently sitting on a rule they made that put the minimum number of games to be eligible for the conference championship this year at something like 7 or 8 or whatever it is. They got to back it off. Find them somebody to play. It's that simple. And dealing with, okay, what's the look of this whole deal? if we just totally manipulate our own rules with one. Are all the schools on board with this? What is going on right now at Big Ten Conference headquarters, at Big Ten Conference offices? What's going on right now? This phone call, that phone call, this phone call, that phone call. How can we do this? Do we shift the whole schedule around? And now it's Tuesday and different people play different people just so Ohio State can have a game in the conference. We've said we're not playing non-conference games. The whole world has the best idea. If we are truly looking at being flexible, the simple answer here is Texas A&M play Ohio State this weekend somewhere. It'll get 8 million viewers. Well, that may be exaggerating, but it'll get a bunch of millions of viewers. Okay? Because it'll be a de facto like playoff game. If A&M beats Ohio State, then A&M's fixing to go to the playoff. They have one game left, right? Who's that final regular season game for A&M? Anybody know? I can't keep up with it. I mean, it's supposed to be Missouri, but Missouri? No, not Missouri. They always play LSU last. That's it. They always play LSU last, and now they've already played them. I just can't keep up with it being shifted around. But why couldn't they? That's a Texas A&M team that's sitting there as of yesterday still getting ready to play. That's an Ohio State team that, as of yesterday, still getting ready to play. Okay, we have the answer. Somebody on the Country Pleasing text line, Walt, is telling me that the last week Texas A&M plays Tennessee. Throw that out. Let's all be really flexible here. Tennessee has not earned the right to play in a game that meaningful. It's meaningful for A&M. Put A&M playing Ohio State somewhere this weekend, and the entire sports playing world is going to go, hats off, boys. Round of applause. That's some real flexibility right there. I can't keep up with any of this stuff, man. Trying to remember who scheduled who when. And if you don't have it in front of you, it's not like I have it just taped up in front of me constantly. I don't look at it that way. I was trying to go over to the SEC schedule and see what we had these next 2 weeks. I'll pull that up. On the live stream, they say Kellen Mond can beat Justin Fields and the Buckeyes. It would be a 30-point blowout at least. Can't. He says can't. In other words, Ohio State would absolutely throttle Texas A&M. Okay, well, still, though, let's see it. That's all I'm saying. They want to play. Let them play. Wouldn't everybody be okay with that? Well, you scheduled it and Ohio State blew them out of the water. Okay. At least they played a game. As opposed to you couldn't play a game. Ohio State's left over there twiddling its thumbs while Michigan is, in quarantine, totally, as it would seem. And, at least you'd have a game. You'd have something on the field to go by, as opposed to a conference just totally shifting its rules around. So, see, here's a problem for A&M. They had to postpone their game at Tennessee back last month. They postponed the game with Ole Miss. The game this weekend with Ole Miss was supposed to be a makeup. Canceled. Postponed again. Then this time it's Ole Miss' fault. Basically cancel it. The December 19th game for Texas A&M is at Tennessee. It's a makeup of a postponement. So, A&M's not doing anything. They're not playing Ohio State. They're not going out of conference. Neither is the Big Ten. We might as well just stop. This basically boils down to one option. Well, 1.5. Okay. The Big Ten just changed its rules. Get rid of this minimum requirement thing. Forget it. Ohio State, you're in. We're lifting the rule. And I don't know that the rest of the conference really have a huge problem with it. Maybe they would. I just don't know. The other option is find them somebody to play, but how are they going to do that? How are you going to rearrange your whole conference schedule just so one team can have somebody to play and leave somebody else who out here is not having an issue sitting there with nobody to play just because Ohio State needs an opponent? I don't know how you do that. In fact, I don't think you can do that. D. Russell on Twitter says A&M versus Ohio State would be a great game. Whoever said it wouldn't is wrong. I mean, I don't know. A game is a game at this point. Just, play the game. Denzel says Notre Dame beats Clemson, Cincinnati. Yeah, got it. All right. We were talking about Kevin Mathis, who's on the staff for Deion Sanders at Jackson State. Unnamed texter says, we Cowboys fans know Dennis Thurman as the leader of the defensive backs in Dallas, known as Thurman's Thieves, hard-hitting and interception machine. Kevin Mathis was and your text got cut off. Your text got cut off, so I don't know the rest of it. Norman, Coffee Norman, good to hear from you. Country Pleasing text line says, Matt, Coastal Carolina is still undefeated. Would they beat, say, a Texas A&M team? You had folks wanting BYU, and the Chanticleers handled them. Just saying. You're right. I mean, you're right. But they're going to get in over a one-loss SEC team? Maybe they should. Heck, I don't know. Jason in Flagstaff says, if Ohio State misses the playoff due to that nonsensical back and forth, how quickly is their commissioner fired after the season? MW247 says, love it. BYU, I would say, I can't understand. There's a typo in here, man. I'm sorry. Can't read it with typos. Mailman David said, you mean like the SEC did to Ole Miss by taking the LSU game and giving it back to Bama? David, you're right. But now, okay, in their defense, they did take it. They just moved it to a different time slot 2 weeks later. It's not like they totally just lifted the LSU game away from Ole Miss and said, nanny boo-boo, you can't have it back. You're not playing LSU. No, they just moved it 2 weeks later, shifted everybody else's stuff around, extended the season so that everybody would have a chance to play the full schedule of games, just at different times than the original schedule. But you're right. I mean, Ole Miss is sitting there looking to play LSU, and then, no. This is Alabama's turn. You know who wanted that, right, David? CBS. That was a strictly a television move. And TV's good and mad. We go through all that and get a blowout of epic proportions that only people watch the first quarter, and that's it. Advertising partners are good and angry about it. It's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. More of your thoughts and opinions coming up. Stick around.
There's a game on the back that's lots of fun to do. All of the kids in the neighborhood say Tootsie Roll Pops are triple good, triple good. You'll love Tootsie Roll Pops.
Hi, I'm Mike Wallace with a sensational shortening discovery for better baking and frying. It's Procter & Gamble's Golden Fluffo, the first all-new shortening in 40 years. It's rich. Its color is golden yellow, and what a pie it makes. Richer looking, better tasting, more appetizing. But let's hear what Mrs. Thelma Styra, Indiana State Fair baking champion, had to say about Fluffo.
I love Fluffo. It makes such a golden brown pie.
Oh, man, that's some apple pie.
Well, Mr. Wallace, that's a prettier pie than I ever baked with plain white shortening. And look how flaky it is. This yellow Fluffo is such a short shortening. Makes pie crust so rich.
Like cooking champions, get richer looking, better tasting, more appetizing results in everything you bake or fry. Get Golden Fluffo.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
You know, I've been accused of wearing a lot of hats in my career. And if you go to the Mississippi State University golf course, you can wear a lot of hats, a lot of the same hats I wear. Oh, that's nice. You know you like that. On Twitter, they are at Hail State GC, or call them 325-3028. That's the Mississippi State University golf course. We wear a lot of hats. Hail State.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding, whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage.
My son had a full-blown asthma attack. It came out of nowhere.
The unsettling thing about some symptoms is
I had a fever and these terrible headaches.
you don't always know what's causing them.
It was Lyme disease from a tick bite.
I had West Nile virus from a mosquito.
He had a reaction.
There's a game on the back that's lots of fun to do. All of the kids in the neighborhood say Tootsie Roll Pops are triple good, triple good. You'll love Tootsie Roll Pops.
Hi, I'm Mike Wallace with a sensational shortening discovery for better baking and frying. It's Procter & Gamble's Golden Fluffo, the first all-new shortening in 40 years. It's rich. Its color is golden yellow. And what a pie it makes. Richer looking, better tasting, more appetizing. But let's hear what Mrs. Thelma Styra, Indiana State Fair baking champion, had to say about Fluffo.
I love Fluffo. It makes such a golden brown pie.
Oh, man, that's some apple pie.
Well, Mr. Wallace, that's a prettier pie than I ever baked with plain white shortening. And look how flaky it is. This yellow Fluffo is such a short shortening. Makes pie crust so rich.
Like cooking champions, get richer looking, better tasting, more appetizing results in everything you bake or fry. Get Golden Fluffo.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
You know, I've been accused of wearing a lot of hats in my career. And if you go to the Mississippi State University golf course, you can wear a lot of hats. All right, back with you here, rolling along on this Tuesday. Getting set to wrap up hour 2. In hour 3, a lot to get around to as well, including looking back on Mike Leach's press conference yesterday and talking about his program, answering some questions, looking ahead to the Auburn game. So that's all coming up here today on the show. Thanks for tuning in. You can comment on the live stream if you're watching. Y'all can send me a text on the Country Pleasing Sausage text line. It's 885-3776. On the live stream, they said Harbaugh want to sabotage Ohio State because he can't beat them legally. That's what this is all about. Some people believe that. I don't know that you can actually pull that off. I mean, it sounds to me like they really have a sure enough COVID issue there at Michigan. That's what it sounds like anyway. And if it is, I mean, it's been going on for weeks. Now what's starting to pop up out here about the possibility for Ohio State is potentially a rematch with Indiana. There are reports coming out all over the place that Purdue, who Indiana plays this weekend, Indiana versus Purdue, that Purdue is starting to be, it's less and less likely they're going to be able to play this weekend. People are pessimistic that Purdue's going to be able to pull this off. Well, you could just have a rematch. If Indiana doesn't have an opponent, they've already played Ohio State, let them play them again and give you the games. That'd be one win round. Let them play. I agree. Let them play. It's a rematch. So what? I'd say go ahead on and let them play. The SEC has issued fan advisories for the 2020 football championship. They put this out there 20 minutes ago. Are you interested? I don't know. You may be watching this live stream or listening to the radio show, and you're going to Atlanta to watch Alabama versus Florida. You're one of 16,500 people who got a ticket to get in there. That's the number. Here's what it said. Fans attending the 2020 SEC Football Championship game in Atlanta on December 19th are encouraged to become familiar with policies related to fan enjoyment and security for the game. The 2020 SEC Football Championship game will kick off at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on December the 19th in Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and it'll be televised by CBS. The game will have a limited seating capacity at 16,500 due to COVID-19 restrictions, and the game is sold out. Sold out. If you've got a ticket, hats off to you. You're one of a handful that have one. All right, here we go. COVID-19 safeguards. This is for Bama, Florida, Mercedes-Benz title game in 2 weeks. Well, less than 2 weeks now. COVID-19 safeguards. Fans are asked to follow public health guidelines to protect themselves and others against COVID-19. We know what those are. The gates of Mercedes-Benz Stadium are going to open at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. That'll be 5:30 Central. The SEC clear bag policy for security purposes. Only clear bags are permitted in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The bags will be inspected before you go in. Mercedes-Benz Stadium cashless policy. By accepting only credit cards, debit cards, and mobile payments, transactions take place faster and allows concessions and merchandise vendors to operate more efficiently for customers. All right, now ticket exchange. Fans should be aware of counterfeit tickets and should use the SEC ticket exchange to purchase verified tickets. Well, it's sold out. That's the first paragraph. So if you're buying a ticket today, you better look close. All right, the pom-pom policy. That's my favorite so far because that's the most fun to say. The Mercedes-Benz Stadium pom-pom policy. Pom-poms or shakers must have paddle handles to be admitted into the stadium. Pom-poms or shakers with stick handles are prohibited for safety reasons. And then RV parking and tailgating. That right there, Clark, is an RV. Will be allowed in the Home Depot backyard west lawn and M-Lot following the COVID-19 health and safety protocols. Y'all bored yet? All right, so that's the whole deal. And then they've got it. If you're going to the game, go to secsports.com. You'll see that link right there. Safeguards for fans. Now the COVID stuff, you may find these interesting. Here they are. Face coverings are required to be worn in all areas inside the venue. SEC title game. Wash hands frequently for 20 seconds with soap and water or use hand sanitizer. Physical distancing is required. Maintain 6 feet physical distance from others. We got all that. Fans are asked to stay home if they are experiencing any of the following symptoms. Fever equal to or above 100.4. Cough. Does that mean Mike Leach wouldn't be allowed in here to coach? Chills, muscle pain, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, sore throat, or a new loss of taste or smell. There they are, safeguards. Clear bags, don't bring cash. Better use their ticket exchange so you don't get a counterfeit. Pom-pom's got to have a paddle, not a stick. And then read up on the RV and stuff. Most people, if they're traveling an RV deal, they're so familiar with all that. It's what they do. It's a part of their life. They know how to handle that. They don't need my advice or reading through it on the website. But there you go. Fan advisory. 16,500 fans. What What are 16,500 fans going to sound like for Alabama versus Florida? I mean, you'll have noise, and I guess, I mean, for a CBS broadcast, are they going to pipe in crowd noise? I don't know if they've been doing that or not. I know they have on Fox, but I don't know if they've been doing it for these other games. I know they have on ESPN some better than others. Most of the games that I've watched where they have piped in crowd noise artificially, number one, you could really tell that it was artificial, and then it sort of became obnoxious because it was so unnatural. Do y'all agree with that? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I paid attention to it because you know it's fake, but it's like this constant decibel level hum of fans yelling. And there was no inflection when you needed it. Like something good happens, it ought to get really loud, but then when that's over, it gets quiet again. Because actual people get louder and quieter, you know. But this just constant throughout the whole broadcast is just like, oh, it's a little bit unbearable. Country Please and text line real quick. Coffee Norman says, Matt, I missed it, I guess. What's the deal with State in talks for a bowl game? Is there not enough teams, or is that contingent on winning another game? No, this is my understanding, Norman. It's not about enough teams. Sort of is. But you've had 10 bowl games get canceled altogether, so now you're down in the 30s of the number of bowl games, right? But you got plenty of teams. It's just you don't have a whole lot of teams that are sitting there at even 500 on the year. But the next layer to this is because of this pandemic, before they ever even played the first game, the whole college football world decided this year, because we're having abbreviated seasons, conference-only seasons, bowl games, you're not required to pick teams based on a win total. There's no minimum requirement of wins to go to a bowl game like there is in a normal year. So when the Bowls heard that, well, immediately they just start looking at, well, we can take anybody we want. Okay, well, if you're not a playoff game or a New Year's Six, then you look at who are we tied to, right? You look, so you look at Birmingham. Your Birmingham Bowl has a tie-in with the SEC. I mean, they're in Birmingham for Pete's sake. So they're like, well, they told us we don't have to worry about how many wins they have. We're going with an SEC team. We work with that conference every year. We're going down the conference lines that we're tied to. We're getting teams from the conferences we want to be tied to. I don't care how many wins they have. And we'll pick whichever one maybe gives us the best chance to sell a few tickets if we are allowed to at that time. Does that make sense? So that's why State's sitting here with 2 wins right now. There's no minimum requirement of wins to go to a bowl. If Birmingham wants State in the game, State's going to that game. It doesn't matter if they win another game or not. That's my understanding. And going to Birmingham beats the heck out of going to Tampa the day after Christmas. I promise. I'm all for it. All right, how's this going to happen? Is this an open window for Cincinnati to finish 9-0 and get in the playoff because Ohio State ain't going to do it? Or is Ohio State going to play Indiana and Purdue just kindly bow out for the better of the conference? Got to wait and see. We'll track it in hour 3. That's coming up. I'm Matt. If you leave us, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, stick around. Hour 3 coming up in the Farm Bureau studio.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding. Whether you cook it over a fire or in the house, cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor, you see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best, trust me. Hey, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. If you head with me over to cspire.com, over to their website, this is something you can do. And I noticed this today before I went and logged in. I was going to pay my bill, and it says at the top, deals you can believe in. You click that shop deals, and it takes you over here to a couple of things that you need to know about here for the holiday season. First of all, they're doing a trade-in right now. So like I can take my old iPhone 8 Plus and trade this in for an iPhone 12. The other thing is, I wanted to show you this. First of all, I love the ad with the bull and the Santa hat, but the no bull deal, you probably heard about that on our show. No gotchas and hidden in the fine print in the bill, no most expensive plan requirements, no waiting 3 months to get your promo credit, no having to, bring a phone number with you, all that kind of stuff. I can tell you from experience, I go here, my bill's the same every month. There's not a lot of hidden stuff. My cost doesn't go up. Once I'm in. I know what it costs every month. You get all of that stuff. And I just wanted to make you aware. Just go to cspire.com. You can see all of it. Merry Christmas.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
You hear me say Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson a lot on the radio show. Highway 51 in Madison, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson. And yeah, it's tractors, okay? Kubota tractors, they have New Holland tractors, big equipment, skid steers, ATVs, all that. But you need to know this time of year, if you're a deer hunter, if you know a deer hunter in the area, anywhere around Madison and Jackson, Davini has everything, okay? I'm not talking about just, feeders and all the stuff that goes with that, but tree stands, climbing stands, chairs, camo this, camo that, boots, accessories, everything for the hunter. Divinity Equipment, Highway 51 Madison, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
I've been accused of wearing a lot of hats in my career. And if you go to the Mississippi State University golf course, you can wear a lot of hats, a lot of the same hats I wear. Oh, that's nice. You like that. On Twitter, they are at Hail.
Talking about sports from around the world and right here at home. Streaming to you at the Zone1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
What's up? I'm Matt. In the Farm Bureau studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau. Hour 3, kicking it off right now with you. Hour 3, presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville or Stark Vegas or Starkville, however you choose to say it. Overstreet Properties and overstreetproperties.com. If you're moving up there, anything residential, trust me on this, anything residential, a place to live, a place to stay for the weekend, for a ball game, leasing an apartment, anything like that, go to Overstreet Properties. Kane Overstreet, tell him Matt said, hey, good old Kane. He'll get you started. Those of you tuning in on the live stream, y'all feel free to comment. Yeah, you can probably see and hear. You see that box right there in my chair? Right there? That is from the Mississippi State University golf course. Should I do a live unboxing on the show here in hour number 3? Maybe I should. I don't know. We'll see. I got to find a knife. I got a knife right here somewhere. We'll open it a little bit later in the show, but that's what that's from. Sure is. I'll be decked out. I wonder if it's one of those cool pullovers they were advertising on Twitter here the last few days. They are Hail State GC on Twitter. All right, let's get it started here in hour 3. Here's what we're going to do. Plenty to get to. There's more reaction popping up out here about what are the options for this playoff. It's interesting. We're kind of finally, I think people around the country are finally getting interested in the playoff, the postseason of college football. 1, because we're closer to it, but 2, now because we have some drama. And Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated, is pointing something out. If the SEC champion and the ACC champion are locks for the college football playoff, which they are because they've all played enough games. So we know it's going to be either Bama, Florida, or Notre Dame, Clemson. So the champion of those two conferences are locks. Then who are the other teams out there currently, right now, that are better options than 6-0 Ohio State? Here they are. These are better options for the playoff than a 6-0 Ohio State. 8-1 Texas A&M. 9-2 Florida. 10-1 Alabama. 9-2 Clemson. 10-1 Notre Dame, depending on how those games go. 9-0 Cincinnati. 9-1 Miami. Or hold on a minute. Grab your seat. Hold on to your seat. 12-0 Coastal Carolina. Before we get to the Mike Leach press conference, let's go to the Divinity Equipment phone line. Divinity Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Lynn hanging on. What's up, Lynn?
What's up, Matt?
Yeah.
Matt, you know the people at UCF would absolutely lose their mind if one of them other schools got in like that.
Well,
I mean, they might burn something down.
That is a great point, Lynn. And you know what? I don't know about today. Maybe I will today. But you know what it reminds me of is a thought I had a couple of years ago when UCF was going through that whole thing that needs to be brought back to the surface. Listen, the group of 5, from the group of 5 on down in college football, but the group of 5, they don't have access to a championship. They don't have one. It doesn't exist.
And they're never going to get to play for the other one. So, but they said they didn't want that, didn't they? They don't want to start their own one for some reason. I don't understand it. I got a question for you about the bowl game stuff, though.
Okay.
If State did get a bowl game, you're allowed 18 practices. Ain't that right?
Well, normally that is true, yes. Or is it 18 or is it 15?
18 practices. 18 or 15, but you're going to have like a week to prepare if you got a day after Christmas bowl game, ain't you?
That's right. Well, and we were looking at those dates, Lynn, earlier, the bowl games that are out there, because we had an update of the bowl projections, and the first bowl game on the schedule is December the 19th, the day of the SEC title game. Now, it doesn't involve an SEC team, but that's that Frisco Bowl. Then you've got one on the 21st, another on the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. And then, you know, late December. So you're right. There's a bunch of teams that maybe they would give them practices after the game.
That was what I was wondering, if you get them after the game or if you could roll them over to spring or what you could do. But it don't seem fair to punish a team because of how the schedule's been made up.
Right.
That they can't get the rest that they would get, even though they made the bowl game, whether they deserve the bowl game or not. I hope we get one. The Ole Miss people will just they'll hate that.
Right.
They'll come up with everything in the world to say to us. We'll take it.
That's right.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you get to it, man.
Thanks, Lynn.
Listen when I can. I'm having a rough schedule lately. Good one, man.
Hey, you too, man. Hang in there. Merry early Christmas, but I do appreciate you calling, Lynn. Yeah. We're just glad to have you around whenever you can be around. Work comes first. All right, so Mike Leach had his press conference yesterday. I want you to listen into some of the Q&A with him. I thought the answers were interesting. Normally I would play those things for you here on the show, but they don't always happen right on time, and we're delayed. That one yesterday started around 3 o'clock. So let's listen back in a little of the Q&A with Coach Mike Leach yesterday, looking at his team and looking ahead to Auburn this weekend.
And we will start off with a question from Ben Portnoy.
Mike, I know you guys still got a couple of weeks left in terms of games, but at this point, do you feel like your team, whether it's 2, 3, 4 wins, is going to accept a bowl bid?
I certainly would be in favor of it. I want to play as many games as we can. I mean, we got a young team, and the more practice, the more work we get, the better, the way I look at it.
I know you can't talk into – on right now too, just kind of what's it been like for you recruiting this cycle, and I guess kind of what's it like behind the scenes right now amongst you coaches?
You know, I think the same thing that's most important about that's always most important about recruiting is important this time, which is persistence. I've always thought the most important thing on recruiting is persistence. And I've had the really sharp, flashy car salesman looking guys where you're thinking, oh, geez, this guy'd be a great recruiter, and he's only an average recruiter. And then I've had the guys sort of the dour, sort of quiet guy that's a great recruiter, and you'd think would be a lousy one. And the one thing that good ones all have in common is persistent, and I think we have a pretty persistent staff. I think we've done a good job of that. But what you're working against is, I think there's an incredibly great product here at Mississippi State. I think when people come to Starkville and get on campus, I think they really get excited, and I think that really elevates our opportunity to get a guy. I would say that recruiting's going quite well. I mean, we always want to be better at it, but at this point, I think we're a little ahead of schedule. I think that it's been a whole lot of talk on the phone, show pictures, try to figure out people that they know in common with people that we might have here, people that we've coached before. But it has gone quite well. And I think that, but it has been a strange dynamic. I mean, because the biggest, most important thing to selling your institution or selling yourself and your coaches is to meet people face to face. So the single most important thing, they've taken away. And so, so that I think has been a bit of a battle, but I think then again, persistent, selling what you have, selling the opportunities that you see, and see if it meets everybody's needs. I mean, it's a good deal's one where it helps everybody. So I think that the more you can illustrate that. So,
Coach, despite being losses, do you think that the strong performances in the last 2 games have created a renewed sense of confidence and positive momentum in the players and the program as a whole?
I think we've been generally positive the whole time. I think that, yes, we have had reduced numbers, but I don't think that's really diminished our desire to play. It's diminished some of our advantage, perhaps, but not our desire to play and improve our skills. So I think that, we have a pretty good nucleus of guys that way.
Like, kind of going off of that question, obviously you guys have played a little better, but, they've both been losses. What do you think a win over a program like Auburn, and then I know you don't like to look ahead, but you got another opportunity at home against Missouri, 2 home games to finish out the season, getting a win or 2 in those games, what do you think it would do for the program going into the offseason?
Well, I think the most important thing for us to do is to be the best team we can be. I mean, that's what we got control over, and we got to be the best that we can be. And we've got, we've got kind of a thin squad, but we got to put people into the positions that I think can help move the team the best, but also can, elevate their abilities, because we've got a lot of young guys that are going to do a lot of great things. But if it was such a great idea to play true freshmen, everybody would do it. So, and I've never played this many freshmen before, but it's kind of fun. I could get used to it. I mean, it's exciting to, ticks you off when you see some mistake out there or something. But then all of a sudden, you see some guy that's supposed to be in high school or going to the prom a few months ago, all of a sudden do something, pretty great against Georgia or something like that. So it's fulfilling too.
Mike, we saw that KJ was selected to the East-West Shrine game today. Is the assumption that he won't use that extra year of eligibility and this will be his 1 year at Mississippi State?
Not sure yet. I think that's still in the works. I'm not sure yet.
Hey, Mike, how would you say Will has kind of progressed recently, and what do you kind of want to see from him in these last 2 games? How do you kind of want to see him elevate his game?
I think he's gotten progressively better. I think he's got to keep improving. I think I do think he's ahead of schedule. I think he's better than I would have expected. I think that really just overall, it's not like there's one big thing. It's more like just more polished, more everything quicker and smoother and more precise, and then the ability to do it more times in a row, really. Yeah, I think he's played quite courageous, quite well for a guy his age.
And following up on the whole freshman deal, you just mentioned with Tyler's question about you don't remember having to play this many freshmen. You said it's been kind of fun, but can you kind of elaborate on what that experience has kind of been like for you? And has that made it one of your tougher years coaching, considering all the youth that you've had?
I think it's been tough, and then it's been inconsistent as far as who was available, with all the tests and everything. And so then we have all these thresholds, and we've been well below the threshold the last 2 games. But despite that, I'd rather, play and go out there and you practice all year long to play. And so I am glad we get to play, but, and then who plays where is a combination of who's the best. I mean, if the young guy's the best, you play him, but then other situations have happened where, all of a sudden you get test results Thursday and without going into much detail, they eliminated a whole position for us, whole position gone. And then so on Friday, we had to devise how we were going to plug that hole. And they'd still played, admirably, but not as good as we could have, I don't think. But you just kind of roll with it. I mean, with all the things going on this year, and then, and there's plenty of forces out there trying to make it as joyless as possible. You try to lock into your day job and what you're doing on an individual level with the players and see how much you can elevate them and their abilities.
And the last one from me, you kind of mentioning the threshold there, and with COVID-19 and the cases really spiking in Mississippi, would you say your level of concern within the virus and more of your guys getting it, like, would you say your concern has risen a lot lately?
I've always had the concern. I've always also taken a certain amount of comfort, though no college athletes have been hospitalized. And so I think that's pretty good too. I mean, we've had them hospitalized for other things, but not for COVID. So, I think that part is encouraging.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned briefly talking about your staff, your assistant coaches, and their recruiting and what they've done so far. I'm interested in your thoughts on the evolution of the off the field recruiters and the guys that do a lot of work behind the scenes, and your thoughts on this group that you have here.
I think I don't know about the evolution. I mean, it goes way back, and I don't know where to start with that. But I don't know the evolution of it completely myself. I mean, I was there when it happened, but I think it's the type of thing that the NCAA narrowed everything down to 2 GAs. Then everybody needed and wanted more help, and then. So they added one piece at a time, and this guy can do this and that guy can't, type of thing. And then I think it's just evolved. Okay, this as far as that's what I know about the evolution, and that's not a very good answer. You can probably find somebody that follows that or cares about it more than I do. But as far as I think they do a good job. I think they do a real good job here. I think they're diligent. The other thing is I think that they're pretty smart and well informed. I think that I think they're reasonably good evaluators, and that's one problem. And even 10 full-time coaches, you put a pile of guys in the room and evaluate, and that's where most of the discussions take place. Where people. They always say, I'm going to stand on the table for this. I've never really seen that stand on the table. Most of the coaches I know would break the damn table if they stood on the table. But I'm going to stand on the table for this guy. And next time we get into that, I'm going to make the guy stand on the table. I'm going to make sure it's an old table, but he has to stand on it. And then so then they but it's the evaluation. And I felt like our guys here evaluate pretty well because, like I say, you get a room full of 10 coaches. I guarantee you 2 or 3 of them don't evaluate that well. They may be fantastic coaches, fantastic recruiters, but they don't evaluate that well. I felt like they evaluate pretty well here.
A quick follow-up. Have you had to rely on that group a little more than you have in the past due to, just the season being pushed back a little more into signing day and your guys having to focus more on the field, or –
not so much this time of year, but when we first got here, absolutely. Because that the foundation of that class, was created and held together by those guys, and I think that because we're just walking through the door and trying to get pointed the right direction, and so then this class has been, more of a comprehensive effort with everybody involved. And it does kind of vary, as far as researching and calling recruits. I mean, it's not as productive a time as I'd like to see, but it is the type of thing where all of a sudden, okay, everybody's off this week. All right, call all your recruits, So it hasn't been a lack of time. It's been a lack of contact and hands-on, show somebody around type of deal.
Mike, you mentioned some of this a little bit earlier, but you guys have obviously been shorthanded for, I guess a month or so now, it seems like. But going into this Saturday, I don't know if you know what you have from a numbers perspective, but are you as close to full strength as you've been since maybe, mid-October, late October sometime?
No, I don't think so. I think we're pretty similar what we've been the last 2 weeks before, is what I think. The other thing is there's definitely the ambush factor of this stuff. I mean, this thing, you feel like it's used like a time bomb a little bit,
Obviously, we've mentioned the numbers a lot, and you said earlier that a whole position group was almost wiped out days before a game. So I'm just curious, we've seen all these other cancellations. What has gone into the decision to play these games? Is it as simple as you guys wanting to play a game? And then on the flip side of that, what would it take to call a game off for you guys?
Well, both are good questions, and both I don't completely know the answer to. I've been glad that we played because, like I say, I mean, we're not going to get any better here unless we play. And I do know that we're going to take some licks too, you know. Yeah, you march into Athens with 43 scholarship guys, and here we go. But we got better as a team. You know, I'm disappointed we didn't win, and it was there. It was right in our hands. We could have won that. And I think we should have won it. But we definitely got better that week, and we improved that week. And I was really proud of the effort of our guys, probably as proud as I've been of any team I've ever coached. You know, even, you know, a lot of times people get result determinative, but there's a point to where, you know, what was accomplished with what you had to do it with. And I think that was a night of high accomplishment, at least with regard to, you know, the teams over the years I've had the chance to have experience with. So, you know, on the one hand, there's get better and then and improve. And this is going to be a unique year no matter what happens. And I think whatever time we do have, we need to utilize it to get as good as we possibly can.
And just a quick follow-up to that, how much say would you say that you have in determining, you know, whether you're going to play on Saturday with these low numbers, or is it kind of out of your hands?
It's pretty much out of my hands, honestly.
Mike, we just learned a little bit ago that you guys are going to honor your seniors this week on Saturday against Auburn. I guess kind of like you were mentioning earlier, I know you had to lean a lot on some of the off-field guys in recruiting when you first got here, but on the field this year.
All right, and we'll cut it off right there. That was the last of it anyway. Hope you enjoyed that. I like the part especially when Mike said, these guys say I'll stand on the table. Most of the coaches I know would break the darn table. He used a different word. All right, it's getting started in hour 3. Stick around. Trust me on this, you will sleep better on a mattress from Nest and Wild. It's 100% American made, from top to bottom, all the way to the floor. It's a great Mississippi company. It's right here at home. I know the people. Every mattress they make is 12 inches thick, and if you order it, it'll show up in your doorstep in 5 days. So if you're like me and sometimes you procrastinate on Christmas gifts, you can wait right up until the last minute. All right, I'm not suggesting that, but you could do it. And if you use Bully20, BULLY20, you also get a free pillow top mattress cover to go with it. So it's a great deal. Use that code. Go to nestandwild.com, order your mattress, get it here in time for Christmas. Winsipedia.com. Winsipedia.com. Wins, the letter I, pedia.com. Winsipedia.com. If you're a football fan, if you keep up with games, you have a favorite team who's playing somebody new this weekend, certainly if you're a person that's in media like me, you're in radio or maybe you write, this is an incredible website that's a resource for any historical matchup. You can compare any two teams, just put them in there, no matter who they are in Division I football. It'll give you the entire series history. It'll give it to you visually in a graph. You can click on individual matchups. You can look at the whole list. You can even get information, historical information on just one team, but Winsipedia, it's a great historical matchup resource for college football. Check it out.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, let me tell you a little bit about C-Spire. If you head with me over to cspire.com, over to their website, this is something you can do. And I noticed this today before I went and logged in. I was going to pay my bill. and it says at the top, deals you can believe in. You click that shop deals, and it takes to a couple of things that you need to know about here for the holiday season. First of all, they're doing a trade-in right now. So like I can take my old iPhone 8 Plus and trade this in for an iPhone 12. The other thing is I wanted to show you this. First of all, I love the ad with the bull and the Santa hat, but the no bull deal, you probably heard about that on our show. No gotchas and hidden in the fine print in the bill. No most expensive plan requirements. No waiting 3 months to get your promo credit. No having to, bring a phone number with you, all that kind of stuff. I can tell you from experience, I go here, my bill's the same every month. There's not a lot of hidden stuff. My cost doesn't go up. Once I'm in. I know what it costs every month. You get all of that stuff. And I just wanted to make you aware. Just go to cspire.com. You can see all of it. Merry Christmas.
And worldwide, online at the Zone, 1059.com.
All right, we're back. Me and Bill, that'd be us. Back with you in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Hometown heroes. Jalen Hurts, the new starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. How do you feel about that one? What do you think about that? I don't know that I'm really all that surprised about it. Kid's a winner. Absolutely. Kid is a winner. I remember doing interviews back during the time when, he was the incumbent, the QB, and here comes Tua Tagovailoa and that whole thing. Tua comes into the game for Alabama and all that stuff the way it was. And I think it was a show in Alabama, and they asked I don't know what the question was worded, but my answer came out this way. Those two quarterbacks could start for anybody in the country. And yes, Jalen Hurts is good enough to be a quarterback in the NFL. And then they followed up and said, and what's the but, though, about Tua? I said, but Tua Tagovailoa is a first-round pick. I don't nail many, but nail that. And now both of them starting QBs in the NFL. How about that? Wentz is going to be Jalen Hurts' backup. Interesting. Kid's a winner. Tough, team guy, loves the weight room, glue. Maybe he can make some plays for him. Maybe. We'll see. He hasn't been spectacular, right, in the times that he's played, but a lot of those guys aren't. I mean, Lamar Jackson wasn't spectacular in his first year. So my hat's off to him. He's the kind of guy you pull for, I think. All right, listen, there is so much out there right now about this Ohio State thing and their record. Listen, y'all, I don't know, if you're working, you're driving around in a truck, or you're out on the road, or maybe you're working, you just got the radio going in the shop, and you're not glued to these numbers of their records out here in college football. Let me just tell you. So Ohio State's sitting there at 5-0. And we're supposed to play Michigan this weekend. Not going to happen. It's canceled. Michigan's got all this COVID stuff going on. So now Ohio State is left sitting here going, we don't have any more games scheduled. The conference championship game is the next week. And oh, by the way, the conference put in a rule at the beginning of this shortened season that we've got to play a minimum of, 7 or 8 games. How many they schedule? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They played 8, so it was a minimum of 7? Or was it 6? No, 7. No, it was 6. That's what it was. It was a minimum of 6. 8 games scheduled for Ohio State, 6-game minimum to be eligible for the conference championship. Well, they don't have any games left, and they're 5-0. So it's either the conference find them a game to play, maybe Purdue can't play, so here comes Indiana for a rematch, or lift that stipulation so they can go to the conference title game. Here's the problem, though. Ohio State's played 5 games, or 5-0. Indiana has played 7 games. They're 6-1. Well, their one loss is to Ohio State. Northwestern has played 6 games. They are 5-1. Lead the other side. Iowa's played 7 games. They are 5-2. So my thing is, it's absurd for anybody out here, to me, when you really just step back. We're going Ohio State brand. It's the Buckeyes. They got Justin Fields. We know what their team is. They are eye test example 1A. That's what Ohio State is, because they've only played 5 games. And you're telling me, even if they go to their conference championship game, go 6-0 this year, you're going to send a 6-0 Ohio State to the college football playoff instead of 9-0 Cincinnati if they win this weekend. Who does Cincinnati play? 9-0 Cincinnati? 12-0 Coastal Carolina. They just beat the tar out of BYU. Don't they deserve it? I'm serious. What if Texas A&M, they're not playing this weekend against Ole Miss. They turn around next week and play Tennessee and beat them, go 8-1. They played 9 games, almost twice as many as Ohio State at that point, and their one loss to Florida, the Eastern Division champion. You're telling me that a 8-1 Texas A&M from the SEC gets jumped by a 6-0, let alone 5-0, but 6-0 Ohio State? No. That's horrible. All in the world that would do, y'all, is compound the issue that college football has, unlike any other sport out there. I told you this yesterday, and I don't want to come in here. It's not that I'm looking for a reason to come in here and harp on the negative. I love college football just like y'all do. I keep up with it year round just like you do. I probably don't watch as many games as you do, but, it's our thing, right? I played it, keep up with it, follow it, talk about it. And just like you, I'm a big fan. I love it. But it's got glaring issues, big old fat problems. Okay, and all this pandemic did is shine a bright spotlight on some of those issues and problems. That's what this pandemic has done. Because what do you do when you've got some things in your arms? Okay? And they are all valuable to you in varying degrees. These are all things you consider valuable, and you're holding them, and you're in the living room of your house, and all of a sudden the house catches on fire. And it's apparent you can't get out of there with your own life while taking all these valuable things with you. You're going to have to choose. What do? You drop some things. And you retreat back to what is most valuable to you, and you clutch that, and you hang on to that thing or two that is most precious to you, and you run out of the house with it and hang on to that. Here's why I'm giving you that example. A&M beat Florida. Their only loss to Bama. I misspoke. Thank you, JM. So that's what has happened in the midst of this pandemic. Everybody out here in the college football world grasped and clung to what is most valuable to them, and the rest of it can go to you-know-where. So what did they do? Conference-only schedules. To heck with playing non-conference games. That is not nearly as meaningful as playing our conference games. In fact, the other thing we're clutching to here is our TV money and relationships. So instead of just hanging on to the conference games we have, we'll play more conference games because television is really, really important to us. Why? Money. Exposure and growth. Yeah. What do exposure and growth mean? Money. All right? So that's what we're going to clutch and hang on to right there. Conference only, whatever's closest, we're going to retreat back to whatever's closest to us and whatever's most meaningful, which is TV relationships above a lot of other things. Okay? We can do just fine as long as we fill the TV slots. That's really meaningful. So when that happens, now we're looking at a situation that because of all of that, you're not going to consider sending Cincinnati to the college football playoff. They're sitting there 9-0, 8-0, 9-0. They're going to play one more game. They're 8-0 right now. Right? You're going to not send them because why? Because 6-0 Ohio State comes out of their conference. If they get to do it. They're 5-0. They've only played 5 games. They are 5-0, don't have a team to play, but that conference is going to, because of them, with 1 week left, is going to kick out the rule they put in for the rest of the conference that you got to have a minimum of 6 games to go to the conference title game. We're just going to kill that rule simply because of them. It don't make any sense. 1 loss, Texas A&M, and their only loss to Alabama. They played 9 games, almost twice as many as Ohio State. If they pull this stunt with Ohio State, it's just more of the same, and it's going to compound the problem they already have from an image and trustability standpoint across college football. Trust me on that. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Hey, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. If you head with me over to cspire.com, over to their website, this is something you can do. And I noticed this today before I went and logged in. I was going to pay my bill, and it says at the top, deals you can believe in. You click that shop deals, and it takes you over here to a couple of things that you need to know about here for the holiday season. First of all, they're doing a trade-in right now. So like I can take my old iPhone 8 Plus and trade this in for an iPhone 12. The other thing is, I wanted to show you this. First of all, I love the ad with the bull and the Santa hat, but the no bull deal, you probably heard about that on our show. No gotchas and hidden in the fine print in the bill. No most expensive plan requirements. No waiting 3 months to get your promo credit. No having to, bring a phone number with you, all that kind of stuff. I can tell you from experience, I go here, my bill's the same every month. There's not a lot of hidden stuff. My cost doesn't go up. Once I'm in. I know what it costs every month. You get all of that stuff. And I just wanted to make you aware. Just go to cspire.com. You can see all of it. Merry Christmas.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.